What's good, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Golden 83, and I am here to do a random monthly manifestation for a sign that will be pulling out of the singing bowl. Remember, you guys, these are general messages, not personal. So take what resonates and pass the rest to the next, okay? It is September. We're now in the third week. It's crazy how this month has went by so fast. Trying to make sure I can get everybody in for the month of September, possibly rolling into October, possibly. Just a few things to mention in regards to September, but we'll pick a sign first, okay? Let's see who is up for a monthly. I'll be following up with some right here and nows as well. For possibly every sign, and then maybe an extra reading down the line. So Virgo, you guys are up first. Okay, well, not first, but next. Earth signs making their way through here. Capricorn already has a reading up, but now it is your turn, Virgos. Okay, and rightfully so. It's y'all's month. In time slot, just in time before we split into Libra season coming up next, and then Scorpio. Okay. For the month of September, just remember, you guys, as far as the new moon falling on the 21st, which is International Day of Peace, and also a partial solar eclipse. So you may find yourself, the 21st is on a Sunday. That definitely should be a day of reflection and having a peace of mind, creating new habits or changing or new opportunities and ideas to unfold. We've already had a full moon, which was on the 7th. And so I feel like there's possibly a sign of completion of an old phase and welcoming in the new. And so you should really be focused on maybe a wild growth of abundance in regards to ideas or personal growth or improvements in your life. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep it short and sweet so we can get into these readings. The monthly manifestation, if you're new here to the channel, welcome, is more so or less to help you in achieving your goals, okay, whatever they are, whether they be personal, emotional, material, okay, based off of the moon phases of every month. It probably would help you to probably get a moon calendar. I specifically love moon energy, and so I have one, and that helps me to know when to release something new, for example, or get completed with something, or more so or less progress towards completion before the next new moon. Okay, so full moon energy, for example, I was able to release a small batch of my new candle Fade the Black, which has vetiver in it, and it's about using that candle, which is a intentional candle, more so or less for grounding energy and removing any negative thoughts, and focusing on oneself. Okay, so feel free to check that out in the Etsy shop. You can find that on my About Me page in my bio, because I don't think it's linked to, I never put the link in the bottom in the comments or anything. So by all means, feel free to check out my Etsy shop for that. But that is new. So we'll focus on, like I said, the moon phases. This is based off of the Moonology deck by Yasmin Bland. Okay. Um, we're looking at new moon energy, first quarter moon energy, and full moon energy. Okay. So one from the top, which is for new moon, one from the bottom, which is first quarter moon energy. First quarter moon energy, you should have made some progress towards your goal. Okay. And then full moon energy is a completion of a phase. Okay. And we're going to pull that energetically from the middle. And I think I'm going to go with this one here. My eye was going back and forth. So you guys probably have a lot going on in the month of September of what you're trying to complete or do. And just doing some slight adjustments. We will clarify this energy as well with the Rider's Waite, but we'll also flip the deck over to see what the overall outcome is for this energy. Okay, so first we want to know what should be the mindset towards your goal or intention for new moon. Okay, Virgo, you have bring love into the situation with new moon in Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius, I will mention a sign, doesn't necessarily need to be new moon in Aquarius for you unless you want to check out that energy yourself. But Aquarius, you could have that in your birth chart or have an association to someone who's an Aquarius. But check your birth chart. I put it on my channel post to that you can get a birth chart placement from to know what your birth chart placement is. Yasmin Bland does do it. And then there's another one that I provided that is a little bit more thorough and gives more information on your birth chart. Both, when I used them, was more so or less, I did two to one, make sure that they actually matched, and they do. They actually match each other. With Yasmin Bland's, it's more so just telling you what your placements are. And I think she stops at a certain house in the birth chart. But still informative to know the houses and more so or less what sign is in each one of them. But bringing love into the situation. So we have this woman that is kind of pouring out water, if you will, out of this kind of like vase, this kind of canteen, if you will. Love for self, more so or less, is what I feel for Virgo energy. But in the sense of dealing with other energies. Okay, so I don't know if you're in a relationship, Virgo, but it could just mean as far as friendships or family, as far as bringing some kind of compassion and love into the situation via new moon energy, which is on the 21st. Okay, again, a day of international peace. Okay, so instead of fighting with someone, Virgo, or having a disagreement, kind of bring love into the situation by understanding someone else's perspective, possibly, and not always needing to be right. Okay, I feel this energy of a communication, like a conversation between two people, you and yourself, and maybe someone else. And you have this over obsessive need to kind of constantly correct someone on something when really all they wanted was for you to listen. Okay, so, and hear them out. But if you're constantly over talking someone, how can you really hear them? Okay, so aside from you maybe have a very high love for yourself, um, as a person, but you also need to transcribe that love to other people. Okay. Um, be more selfless. I'm not calling you selfish, but be more selfless. Okay. More selfless. Okay. In talking to people. Now, let's get into the first quarter moon energy. Will or have you made any progress? Okay, during the first quarter moon. If there's something that you're working on, or Virgos in particular, again, get in where you fit in here. If any progress is being made. Balance, spirituality, and practicality, Pisces energy. Okay, here. Full moon, but Piscean energy. Okay, as we see the two koi fish here. I love koi fish. They're so beautiful and they're very tranquil. Um, first quarter moon, I believe, is on the 29th. Okay, so you literally have about 8 days from the new moon energy on the 21st. Okay, so you may find yourself during that week of between the 21st and the 29th, Virgos, needing some kind of spiritual balance and being more practical. Okay, that is perfect timing, more so or less, because there is also another big day on the 30th that is more so or less about truth. It's a day of truth. And I'm trying to find something because I wrote some stuff down about the 30th. So, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation is on the 30th. Okay. I believe it's a Canadian holiday. But I love the premise of the holiday. Um, this is a time to be honest, with those who may have hurt you, and call truce. Do not let bad blood consume you, meaning don't hold any grudges, and make sure the discussion, if you do have one with someone, is with compassion and understanding, okay? But it's definitely about recentering yourselves, more so or less about how it is you want to move forward. And this may feel like repeated energy, for some, only in the sense of maybe a situation constantly being repeated, or a behavior being repeated. And so I don't know, I can't really put a time frame on how long, but it just feels like I feel repeated energy. Okay, you may feel deja vu in a situation. Maybe you dreamt about this conversation with someone, um, and that's why it seems so familiar to you. Okay, I talk about deja vus a little bit being kind of foreshadowing and foresight. It happens with me just about, I'm not going to say all the time, but pretty frequently. Like, I'll get it for, like, it's crazy how minds are. Some are tied to people that are in my actual, in my life, and then others are more so or less tied to, like, entertainment, which is crazy. Like, I'll dream of a movie before it even comes out, and I'll see it. I'm like, this is deja vu. I dreamt about this. Don't know why. Okay. I'm sure there's some layers to it, but I'm just saying. Okay. It just all depends on your interest in, when it comes up for you. Okay. But I've talked about it a few times in maybe another reading. I may dedicate a video to it, but I've said this countless of times and I never get around to it. So, possibly the message is, heard loud and clear to those who needed to hear it. So that's the reason why I haven't done a video on it. But nonetheless, let's get into full moon energy. Has or is the intention or goal being achieved by the full moon? Okay, so full moon, like I said, is about a completion. So you may have multiple steps to getting something done, Virgo. Um, and there, again, the full moon energy, which was on the 7th, did you complete something that was necessary or that you wanted to get done? And now it's all about the follow up. Okay, that's probably another piece to you getting to full manifestation of this want or desire that you have. Okay, so has or is the intention or goal being achieved? The answer is nothing will come of this situation. Okay, this card comes up a lot. The last time when I was like steadily doing the monthly manifestations before, this one was coming out, especially earlier on in the year. Um, Not last year, but maybe the previous year before it, rolling into, I think, 2024. But I took a break. I think July of last year was when I kind of fell off of the monthly manifestations. But nothing will come of this situation. It's not to say anything negative towards it, but if you're not doing anything, if it's something imperative, maybe it's something you forgot about, and I feel like the universe is maybe pointing that out, is that nothing's going to come of it because you're not doing anything with it. Okay, so doesn't mean that you shouldn't, but something may have distracted you from it. Okay, so it could have been something that you put on the back burner or something that you forgot. Okay, so review whatever it is within, your either everyday routine or again with a particular project, and revisit it because something was forgotten. Okay, and obviously you'll remember it. Okay, you may remember it just as I just spoke about it. All right, so let's see what the overall outcome of the energy is for you. And it is the end of a tough cycle approaches. Capricorn energy, full moon. Okay, so Capricorn energy here, possibly landing in your birth chart somewhere. Okay, maybe tied to 7th house energy, which is about contracts and relationships. So kind of like tied to business, possibly. Maybe you've been struggling with something with your business. And so that cycle is about to end. Okay. Maybe that thing, like I said, that you're forgetting about is tied to your business. And you will remember it. Okay. I don't think it's a big thing. It's just something very small that could lead to something big, or in a way of like another project. Okay, not in the sense of a mass return. That will come down the line, but I feel an energy about just capitalizing more on something, like on a project or the idea of it, an expansion of an idea. Okay, that bears fruit later, but it all depends on you, Virgo. Okay, the energy of that may come up later, maybe when I do right here and now. But let's get into the Rider's Waite. Okay, I'm going to shuffle by 3. And then we'll cut also to clarify this energy and the overall by looking at the bottom of the deck. again, same as what we did with the first deck. One from the top, new moon energy. One from the bottom, first quarter moon energy. And then one energetically from the middle, which, like, Spirit is guiding me to this card right here for full moon energy. And like I said, we'll flip the deck over to see what the overall outcome is and to clarify that energy of the end of a tough cycle approaches. Okay, so again, clarifying this new moon energy, what you should be focused on, or what is the mindset, is judgment. Okay, somebody else got judgment in theirs as well with their new moon energy. And I think it might have been Leo's. Okay, so I don't know if you're having communication with a Leo, but like I said, I feel that it's tied to that example that I gave about a conversation going on and bringing love into the situation, that you are, I don't want to say you are judging a Leo, Virgos. I mean, you may, but I don't want to physically say that, but there's judgment there. Okay, so avoid being like judge and adjudicator of this person. Okay, because it feels like an energy that's like doubling down for judgment to come out 2 times in 2 separate readings. Okay, so that's why bring love into the situation came up in your primary spread of the moon phases, is because obviously there's some judgment going on. And it doesn't feel like it's on you, but it feels like the reverse, you to someone. Okay, let's get into that first quarter moon energy of making any progress. Balance, spirituality, and practicality is the 9 of Pentacles. Okay, I talked about 9 of Pentacles popping up in someone else's reading. Leo's got a 9 of Cups, so emotionally they are secure within themselves. Battling with a Leo is very difficult. Okay, they are very headstrong. Okay, and I'm a Taurus, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Okay, you are more so sustainably centered come first quarter moon energy. Okay, so maybe finances are obviously going well for you, but it's more so about, it's not emotionally, balanced. Not saying that you're not, but what's more important to you is stability. Okay, in the sense of balancing practicalities. Okay, and not so much spirituality. But having the 9 of Pentacles is a good vibe. But it's all about balance. Okay, spiritually, don't get, and I say this, and I'm a strong advocate about this no matter what the sign, don't get overly conceited in something or whatever it is that you're doing, but you are going to be very balanced and secure. Okay, come the time of the first quarter moon, which is on the 29th. So I feel like coming out of that International Day of Peace from the 21st to the 29th, you will have a lot of balancing going on. Maybe a lot of understanding based off of, if you try your best to lead with compassion or speak with compassion and understanding, you will have more centering for yourself. Okay. Let's get into full moon energy. Nothing will come of this situation is being clarified by the devil energy. Okay. Mischievous energy, Capricorn energy. All right. Have you been playing hooky, Virgo, a little bit too much and allow things to kind of fall by the wayside? Okay. Maybe you and your partner enjoying some festivities of some sort, and not really focused too much because you're balanced. That might be what it is. As far as, you know, I feel like the words release, return, are in my head right now. But again, it's not bad energy. It's just enjoying the fruits of your labor, I guess, more so or less, and just having to reevaluate things or bring yourself back to business. Okay, as far as, like I said, a tough cycle ends or is approaching the end of a tough cycle. So you may be slightly ahead. I feel like taking this and putting it like in the middle or something, because it may have transpired in the sense of like in the midst of while things were going on, a previous situation that was tough for you, and you worked your way through, and maybe that's why something got forgotten in a way. Okay. Because something else transpired over it. Now, I feel like if we did a right here and now, we probably see what that energy was. Um, and for some, it may come later on. Okay. So let's see what's clarifying the end of a tough cycle approaches. And it's a 9 of Wands. Again, y'all saw me shuffle the deck. And I mean, I think, and then you have your hard work is paying off up underneath this. Okay. So right now, 9 of Wands, which is a wounded warrior here. Okay. And so you've probably been battling with a lot of stuff. Maybe you've been slightly overwhelmed. It's nice to see that it's not a 10 of Wands, but a 9. So you're slowly, nitpicking away at whatever, it has been, kind of keeping you busy. Okay. Maybe feeling slightly tired. We all know that we're about to gain an hour back, because clocks will be going back soon. And so that may be a part of it for you. I know I've had a few days of feeling slightly tired. Kick in some B vitamins if you can, B12. If it's mental that you've been dealing with, B12s are a great source, aside from if you're not really prone to eating seafood, like omega-3s and fatty acids. But B12s, I love taking B12. It provides focus, provides energy. You have a better possibility of falling asleep under B vitamins. I also recently used beet juice, which is also a good source, I think, of vitamin K. And I mixed it with some orange juice and added it to my smoothies. It was really good. You can't stay on it for too long and not add too much to it. As far as intaking too much of it, I mean, but it actually was very enjoyable, and I never used to like beets. But I made sure if you get beet juice, either you can juice it yourself, or make sure that it's like not from concentrate, and just pure organic beet juice. And you can usually find that, at a like maybe a Whole Foods or an organic section in your grocery store. I got mine from the Fresh Market, which I love. And it was fairly, it's probably going to be slightly expensive. It's probably about like, I think it was like $8, but nonetheless, very tasty. Wasn't too bitter. It had a slight sweetness to it. I don't remember checking the label to see if there was any sugar in it. But it definitely tastes great. I wanted one that was already pre-blended with orange juice and beet juice, but I couldn't find one. And so I just, bought some orange juice. Even though I had been juicing for a little bit, I did not feel like juicing a bunch of oranges, so I just got Tropicana and mixed the two together after I got them to about a half or so. And just pour about 2 cups into a smoothie. So you can take your regular smoothie base, like frozen fruits. You can add some kale in and kind of drink that as your morning breakfast. And that kept me full literally till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I finally started getting slightly hungry. But it was very energizing. Okay. So that's just a slight tip for you if you've been struggling with a little bit of fatigue. Probably just again during that international peace that week, balance yourself out. Try and take in fresh fruits and vegetables. Water after, for me, after I drink it, I drink water throughout the day anyway. But usually smoothies up my intake of water, and so that also adds to the fullness and being able to, go throughout the day. So right now we've got 3 more things to focus on in your reading, Virgo, before we're done. So right now, using the Making Magic to ask the question of what is the message of support to achieve or manifest Virgo's goals, okay? What is the message of support to achieve or manifest for Virgo? If something jumps out, we'll take it. If something feels like it wants to get stuck and not go in, I felt something with these 2 cards, so I'm going to take those out. What is the message of support? And we'll take that one because that jumped out. What is the message of support to achieve or manifest for Virgo? And we'll take 2, and that's it. Or do I need to keep shuffling, Spirit? They said no, that's enough. Okay. I thought y'all needed a few more. Y'all got a lot of messages here. There's at least 5 messages. Okay. So we'll start with these 2 over here that came out. So we have Labyrinth that came out, which says transition to a higher level of being, raising your energetic vibration in enlightenment. Okay. Transition to a higher level of being, raising your energetic vibration, enlightenment. Okay. So I really want you guys to focus during, like I said, that week of the 21st to the 29th of international peace and rebalancing yourself that week. Okay. You have Earth, which you are an Earth sign. Okay. Earth says, ask the element of Earth for grounding, stability, and strength in times of chaos. Okay. Ask the element of Earth for grounding, stability, and strength in times of chaos. Okay. Again, like I said, that new Fade to Black, it's small batches of candles that I'm making that are available on the shop. You can find a few others, but I feel like the Fade to Black would be useful in regards to these 2 messages here. Okay. The other one that I'm going to read is Star, which came out, dropped out on its own as I was shuffling. The silver energy of the star brings good luck and serendipity. Okay. The silver energy of the star brings good luck and serendipity. I'm going to put this one over here. And then we have these 2, which is successful career. Okay, I feel, and that landed, these 2, this other one and this one, landed directly on that 9 of Pentacles. Okay, successful career, a happy working environment pay raises and promotions, Virgo. Okay. So, I mean, if you're the owner of your business, then, like I said, you're seeing a return coming in possibly, which leads to, bountiful success again with that Nine of Pentacles coming up. Time to shine. Time to shine. Also landed on that Nine of Pentacles. Creates the energetic resonance for golden opportunities. Creates the energetic resonance for golden opportunities. Okay, I'm putting that in between both the Judgment and Nine of Pentacles. Okay, don't worry about if some of you are worried about any kind of judgment or criticism, more so or less, from outside sources. Do not worry about it. That just means you're doing your job, Virgo. Okay. That just means you're doing your job. You already did your due diligence, and you definitely have spirit guiding you and helping you along the way. So do not worry about what others say. Okay. Let's get into the elemental oracle here. What is the energy of the present self of Virgo? What is the energy of the present self of Virgo? Last shuffle here by 3. We'll cut, and then we'll go directly to the bottom of the deck, and we'll read a passage or so from the book. Spirit said 4, and so I cut just a little bit more. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, we have power volcanoes. I'm trying to remember who else. I think Capricorn got this. Okay. At the end of their reading as well. Okay. Power volcanoes, number 9. Okay. 9 is more so or less about, again, completion. Okay. Some may also, think of it as 6 turned around. Okay. So you may find yourself going through a lot of back and forth situations of reevaluating things, tying it more so to this time to shine. Finding yourself, not in doubt, but just reevaluating and making sure all your T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Okay. Old grudges should be released and let go. Heavy energy hurts us. Should we hold it for too long? Okay. Allow your anger to flow through you rather than saving it all up for an explosive release. Reformation may be necessary. Sometimes the greatest powers are hidden from view. You have the power to create or destroy. Dynamis, which is ancient Greek for force or power. Okay, so I did mention that before as far as on the 30th for the day, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Okay, so whatever that repeated energy is, it's time to release it. Okay, with that 9. Like I mentioned about 9 upside down, if you turn it, turns into 6. I feel that you may find yourself reevaluating it, maybe in the sense of your own behavior towards the situation, and how you could have done things differently. Okay. So that is as far as your present self. We're going to get into your higher self. What is the potential energy for the higher self of Virgo? And this is going to wrap up your reading. Okay. These are pretty in-depth readings. I when I first did them, they weren't as in depth. It was just the Moonology deck. And so I kind of did my own, reevaluating and said, let's crank it up like 2.0. And so hopefully this gives you a little bit of deeper insight. And hopefully, you can kind of, I don't want to say live by it, but just implement it every now and again into your manifestations on a spiritual note, on a spiritual aspect. So, what is the potential energy for Virgo's higher self? We go to the bottom of the deck. The law of habit. Okay, the law of habit. What was I just saying? Ignite your creativity with a pattern interrupt. Okay, ignite your creativity with a pattern interrupt. Okay, so the first thing that I automatically hear is like force of habit. Okay, some things are force of habit that we create. And so you may have an interruption of that. Virgos, where maybe it's time to change your routine up. Going to page 95 in the book to read you a passage that is associated with this card. Beautiful artistry in this deck. I really enjoy it. But it says here, you may experience feeling like it is Groundhog Day. I mentioned deja vu. I'm losing my voice. I'm so sorry. Mentioned deja vu earlier. This is the inverted use of the universal law of habit. It might be a good time for a pattern interrupt or a vacation to get you out of your current environment. You are designed to build upon your divine creations, rising in your ability to love, express, and connect. A journal or action, do something you have never done before today. Take a new route to work, eat at a different restaurant, talk to someone within your community that you normally would not engage with. Begin to notice how much of your life is old patterns, okay? So it's time to switch it up, okay? I find myself doing the same thing, and I also try to interject something new because after a while, doing something constantly the same way over and over again, it becomes boring. Okay, after a while, you get frustrated even at yourself for doing that same thing over and over again. It becomes mundane. Okay, so to interject something new into your life that brings positivity and creativity, and maybe that has been part of your fatigue, is getting up and doing the same thing. Okay, it could be just something as simple as taking a walk. Now that the season is changing and getting a little bit, hopefully sooner than later, getting a little bit cooler, I would like to go, for walks. I know that's a sorry excuse. I should go for walks, period, throughout the year. And I know plenty of people go running when it's cold. I'm just not those people. Okay. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I don't like being in the cold. I'm a spring baby. Okay. And for me, if I get excessively hot, I get sick. So I cannot be in excessive heat, and you have to be, you have to be mindful. So I'm not using it as an excuse. I literally cannot. Okay. But I enjoy the fall weather more so or less than anything. And so even if it's something as simple as that, or including journaling, as far as, or, to help you with the forgetfulness sometimes of the smaller things, you could always start writing things down so that way you can be reminded. Get yourself a whiteboard and start, writing things out, okay? Um, and also the suggestions that were given, attached to the card as far as talking to someone that you normally wouldn't talk to. It could be very enlightening, as the labyrinth says, for you to search for enlightenment. And it could bring you into a new perspective that you never saw yourself in before. Okay? So, with that being said, Virgo, that is all that I have for you for your reading. I hope, like I said, I hope you really get something from this in depth reading that helps you to manifest and prepare going forward in the month of September for everything that you want to achieve and beyond. All right. So I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.